Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Thank you for joining us for the first live broadcast of 2010, the first live weekday transmission. We kicked it off yesterday with the abbreviated Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. that I do every Sunday, because we're in a war for Western civilization, a war for liberty and freedom. Private offshore interests, the United Nations and others are openly setting up world government. Lord Christopher Monckton, of course, was the top advisor to Margaret Thatcher. He has an international consulting firm on scientific and corporate issues to governments and Fortune 500. He, of course, is an award-winning journalist in his own right. His bio goes on and on. We'll give you his website several times before he leaves us. Today, he's with us graciously for the next hour. He, with stunning accuracy, and you know I don't say that for most guests unless it's warranted and due, but I want to single out his accuracy so that people pay particular heed today, with exactly the slogans, exactly the nomenclature, exactly what would happen at Copenhagen, how they would, even if it failed, still have the bureaucracy try to implement it, which Gordon Brown has announced treacherously against the free republics of the world. And so he joins us to talk about what really happened at Copenhagen, what this new system is by the industrialized world, saying they're going to monitor nations' carbon footprint and go ahead and start levying the taxes and doling out Western taxpayer money from Europe, England, and the United States. And then we're going to move into the latest on ClimateGate and how these fraudsters are still trying to take over at the local level. Here in the U.S., taxes on TVs at the state level. In many states, taxes on plastic bags, home inspections. The UN has announced with Schwarzenegger, governors' conferences, mayor conferences, doling out money for cities to implement this, circumventing the federal government, working with foreign powers. This is completely illegal and unconstitutional and is an act of sedition. So we're going to break here in just a few minutes and come back in the long segment. But I want to introduce Lord Christopher Monckton. Sir, great to have you here with us.
Well, Alex, it's a real pleasure once again to be with you. And you're quite right. The usual suspects are still doing their best after the quite spectacular failure of the Copenhagen conference to try and turn it into what in their terms is a success by setting up a so-called high-level panel, which is, if you like, the kind of stub of the world government they had hoped to grow, and they will hope to start transferring your money and mine to that high-level panel, along with the Copenhagen Green Fund. It's actually called the Copenhagen Green Fund. No longer any pretense of political objectivity. We're now in among the Reds who call themselves green, the watermelons, and they are now named as the Green Fund, which is going to be the recipient of all this money that we're going to pay. The United States in particular has said it's going to contribute really enormous sums of money, your money, to this Green Fund. And what it's really going to be used for, of course, is not to help the poorer countries of the world to adapt to climate change, because there's nothing to adapt to. It will be spent instead on setting up and growing the expensive, corrupt central government bureaucracy of the new, very left-wing, virtually Marxist world government, which the likes of Gordon Brown and Obama and Kevin Rudd in Australia would so very much like to see, and which the countries like China and Russia, of course, who are also inclined in that authoritarian, totalitarian direction, are also inclined to follow. So we haven't won as a result of Copenhagen. We've certainly won on points, but it's not yet a knockout. Much more work is to be done if we are to stop this very sinister movement towards undemocratic world government from carrying on any further. Let us suppose that there was a scientific or economic case
Lord Monckton,
for doing anything about the climate. Yeah.
We've got a break. Come back right there. Sorry to cut you off.
No problem.
Have the third Viscount of Brenchley and Monckton. Lord Christopher Monckton is our guest. Please stay with us. He'll be right back as he gives us a worldwide briefing on what these criminals are up to.